My name is Jonathan Zapp of zapporacle.com, and welcome to the world premiere of my new book called The Little Orange Goblin. And it's kind of a special occasion in multiple senses because, well, first of all, of course, it's getting close to Sithmas. That's why you see the Sithmas tree there. And if you don't know about Sith culture, you can just go to my website, zapporacle.com, search for Sith. There's a lot there. This was an award the Sith Anti-Defamation League gave me in 2019 for my work on supporting Sith culture. And it's also my 64th, well, I don't know if it's 64th, but I'm 64 today. 64 years, very old. I don't believe in this age denial stuff. Some people say 64 is the new 61. I don't buy it. But what's also interesting about that age is that my godson here, Strider, is 14 years old. So that means there's a perfect, as of today, a perfect half-century difference between us, and yet we collaborated on this project. He did the artwork. These are just some terrible prints, but you'll see the digital images of these when we release the graphic novel. And so that's a 50-year generation gap, but we're still able to communicate. Of course, we don't use words. We use a combination of Instagram and hand signals. And big yikes. I'm dead. So chuggy. Glow up fam. Yeek yeek. Okay. It works. And another intergenerational contribution is from my godson Indigo, who will be playing the devil. He'll do a walk-on at some point. There's Indigo. But he's much older. He's 17, so there's no generation gap there. Okay, so this is the Little Orange Goblin. First, disclaimer. Any similarity to any person or goblin, living or dead, is purely coincidental. Once upon a time, there was a little orange goblin who lived on a planet where all the other goblins were much smarter, stronger, and more bigly and powerful than he was. As a result, he was constantly bullied by the other goblins who made fun of his tiny hands, his toadstool-shaped genitals, and of course his very, very, very poor character. Whenever the little orange goblin tried to play games or sports with other goblins, he always lost because all the other goblins were so much bigger and smarter and more bigly than he was. And whenever he lost, he was always a very, 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 very poor loser. The other goblins had really impressive names like Optimus Prime Goblin and Omni Kronos Goblin, while the little orange goblin was always called Loser Goblin. Loser Goblin didn't like his name, and he tried to rebrand himself as Stable Genius Goblin, but no one would call him that. One day, Loser Goblin got fed up with being bullied and losing all the time, so he decided to make a deal with the devil. Loser Goblin, who out of sensitivity will return to calling the Little Orange Goblin, thought he was really, really, really good at making deals, but actually, he was really, really bad at deal making and went bankrupt multiple times. But the little orange goblin didn't realize how bad he was at deals due to something called the Dunning-Kruger effect, which basically says that if you're stupid, part of being really stupid is you often don't know that you're stupid. The devil, however, knew all about the Dunning-Kruger effect. So when the little orange goblin summons him, the devil immediately appears. "I want to make a deal," the little orange goblin says. "I'll give anything if you can put me on a planet where I will win all the time and can bully others. I want to win so much that I will make everyone on this other planet sick from all my winning. I want the creatures there to say, 'Stop, stop, Stable Genius Goblin. We can't take all this winning by you. It's too much.'"
Well, due to something called free will, I can't guarantee you'll win all the time, but I can arrange it so that you'll win any time we can spread enough collective psychosis. I can also send you to a planet where the dominant species, a type of half-goblin called people, are very, very prone to collective psychosis.
Oops. It's a real book, so sometimes the pages are out of order.
Also, Every time you open your mouth, all the goblin viruses inside of you, especially the ones that bristle with spiked proteins, will cause people to get infected by collective psychosis. So you will be able to spread the sickness wherever you go.
Wow, that sounds really great. Thank you, Devil, says the little orange goblin. But what about the people who are not prone to collective psychosis? I'll feel very, very, very sad if I can't make them sick too.
Oh, don't worry. They will feel very, very sick every time you win, just like you wanted.
Wow, that sounds even more bigly awesome. Thanks, Devil. Do you need anything from me in return?
Well, yes, of course. I just need to devour the last remnants of your soul, as well as the souls of everyone in your family.
Okay, sure. But is that the whole deal? What's the catch?
There's no catch. That's the whole deal. When you win, I win. And sometimes, even when you lose, I win. So I'm happy to help.
Thanks, Devil. When I make it on this new world, I'm going to do something for you. I'll construct a building in your land. I'll call it Bigly Tower Moscow, and it will have a $50 million penthouse on top, just for you.
Okay. Whatever.
Says the Devil, knowing that the little orange goblin always overpromises and underdelivers. They shake on the deal, and in a flash of fire and orange sulfur smoke, the little orange goblin incarnates as a big, fat, orange sort of person. But while he looks like a big, fat, orange sort of person on the outside, he's still very much a little orange goblin on the inside. True to his word and in accord with his purposes, the Devil does everything he can to help the little orange goblin. He places him in a family where the father is a successful psychopathic businessman with a lot of money, and the family lives in the most famous city on the whole planet. Unlike his father, though, the little orange goblin is still really, really bad at deals. After his father leaves him $413 million, the little orange goblin manages to put his name on some semi-bigly towers, but his deals are so bad his businesses keep going bankrupt. After he loses all his father's money and is deeply in debt, the little orange goblin finally discovers something he is good at, telling people on television,
You're fired!
so they feel like losers instead of him.
You're fired!
He says all the time on his television show. And because every time he opens his mouth, goblin viruses come out and people catch collective psychosis, his TV show where he tells people,
You're fired!
all the time, becomes very, very popular. Things are going pretty well for the little orange goblin, but one day a brilliant and charismatic chocolate man runs for president. That makes the little orange goblin really, really mad because he really, really doesn't like chocolate people. So the little orange goblin starts telling everyone that the chocolate man is from a land where only chocolate people live and doesn't have a real birth certificate. When the chocolate man wins and becomes president anyway, the little orange goblin is really, really, really mad. One day, the little orange goblin goes to a big celebrity banquet where the chocolate president gives a speech. His speech is all about making fun of the orange goblin and his TV show where he tells people,
You're fired!
and basically calling him a loser. This makes the little orange goblin really, 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 really mad. He vows to get even by becoming president one day himself. Eventually, the little orange goblin runs for president against a very smart vanilla woman. This makes the little orange goblin really, really, really mad because he doesn't like women or smart people. And smart women make him really, 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 really mad. The smart vanilla woman is about 1 billion times smarter than he is. But because he exhales goblin viruses whenever he opens his mouth, and now he is opening his mouth in more and more places, a lot of people catch collective psychosis and vote for him instead of her. But there are even more people who don't have collective psychosis, and therefore they really, really, really don't like the little orange goblin. This puts the vanilla woman ahead of him in the polls. So the little orange goblin makes a really, really big lie and says that if she wins, it means the election is a fraud. But if he wins, it's legit. Well, lo and behold, the vanilla woman gets 2,864,974 more votes than he does, which sounds like really, really bad news for the little orange goblin. But actually, It's not really, really bad news for Little Orange Goblin because there's a special devil college that was created when all the chocolate people were slaves. This particular devil college is called the Electoral College. When all these votes go into this Electoral College, everything gets turned around, and the Little Orange Goblin is declared the winner, and he becomes president. For a few years, the Little Orange Goblin does terrible goblin-y things to the land. During his time in office, he publicly makes 30,573 false or misleading statements, and he also gets impeached. Finally, there is a new election where the Orange Goblin has to run against a well-known vanilla man who wears aviator glasses. The vanilla man beats the Orange Goblin by 7,060,140 votes, and that's too much for even the Electoral College to mess up. This makes the Little Orange Goblin really, really, really mad. Also, the Little Orange Goblin causes his party to lose the House and the Senate too, which makes him really, 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 really mad. Not only that, the new vice president is a smart, semi-chocolate woman, and that makes the Little Orange Goblin really, 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 really mad. The Little Orange Goblin can't stand being such a total loser, so he makes a really, really, really big lie and says the election is a fraud and that he's really still president no matter what anyone else says. He says the election was a fraud against all but half goblins called people. He runs around the whole country, opening his mouth everywhere he goes, so more and more people catch collective psychosis. And when those people go mad, it means they get really, really mad at all the stuff that makes the Little Orange Goblin really, really, really mad, such as chocolate or semi-chocolate people, and especially losing elections. The Little Orange Goblin tries to have a coup so he can stay president for life, but because he's so really, really bad at everything except saying,
You're fired!
his coup fails really, really bad. And then he tries really, really, really hard to get his vice president to say that he's still president. His vice president is a very, very submissive, very, very vanilla man who usually follows every Orange Goblin order. But because of a really, really old document called the U.S. Constitution, his vice president won't say what the Little Orange Goblin tells him to say. So this coup attempt fails really, really bad too. Then the Orange Goblin gets a mob of mostly vanilla people who he has infected with collective psychosis to try to storm the Capitol building. But that fails really, 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 really bad. Now he's even more of a loser, and he gets impeached for a second time, which makes him even more really, 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 really mad. And then the Little Orange Goblin has to leave the big vanilla house, where he got everything, including all his junk food and Diet Cokes for free. And that makes him even more really, 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 really mad. Once he's kicked out of the vanilla house, the Little Orange Goblin has to go to live in a sunny place for shady people called Florida. The Little Orange Goblin plots and schemes to take the presidency back. His really, really big lie is all he talks about now, and every time he opens his mouth, more goblin virus comes out, and there's more and more collective psychosis. The collective psychosis spreads even to people who dislike the Orange Goblin. They get a new variant of collective psychosis called wokeism that turns them into something like really, 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 really mean church ladies who want to be able to say,
You're fired!
all the time, like the Little Orange Goblin did on his show. And that's all we know so far of the story of the Little Orange Goblin because it's still unfolding right now. Remember, all that's necessary for the triumph of Little Orange Goblins is for people who are not infected with collective psychosis to do nothing. The end. For now. Done. All right, thank you. We got through it.